Deep beneath the ocean waves of Bikini Bottom, power doesn't always look the way you'd expect. Some characters can bend reality with a snap of their fingers, while others struggle just to open a jar of pickles. So, in today's video, we're ranking every major Spongebob character based on their actual strength using 7 different power tiers, from the absolute gods at 100% power all the way down to 1% power. Starting at the absolute bottom is Fred, better known as the guy who screams, "My leg!" My leg! In practically every episode. Fred is basically a walking disaster magnet. The moment anything dangerous happens in Bikini Bottom, you can bet that Fred's leg is the first casualty. In Reef Blower, a simple gust of wind sends him flying. In I Had an Accident, he gets injured just standing near Spongebob. He's not a fighter, he's not a thinker, and he's definitely not surviving any confrontation. There's no counter needed against Fred, because he counters himself. Just wait 5 seconds and something will happen to that leg. Gravity is his worst enemy, and stairs, well, stairs are the final boss. Moving up slightly is Old Man Jenkins, who drifts through Bikini Bottom like a tumbleweed with a driver's license.
Show a little respect for your elders and turn up the heat.
In Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, he drives directly into traffic, completely oblivious. He wanders into danger zones, asks what year it is, and shuffles away before anyone can explain. Old Man Jenkins isn't weak because he's fragile, he's weak because he has zero awareness and operates on pure senior citizen luck. If you wanted to beat him, just point him in the wrong direction and let nature take its course. Now here's where things get interesting. Plankton is a genius with elaborate plans and cutting-edge technology, but strip away the robots and laser suits, and you have a microscopic piece of plankton that can be defeated by a gentle breeze. In FUN, Spongebob literally steps on him by accident. In Plankton, he gets trapped inside a jar with one twist of a lid. A single flick sends him flying across the room. The world is just too big for him. Countering Plankton is easier than making a Krabby Patty. Just slide a glass jar over him, screw on the lid, and you're done. When Plankton is inside his mechs, he's a legitimate threat. But unfortunately for Plankton, ranking is about the characters themselves, not their gadgets. Moving on to 5% power, we have Squidward, the most miserable clarinet player in the ocean.
Good morning, Squidward.
Squidward isn't built for combat, and his entire strategy is to avoid conflict and complain loudly. That said, Squidward has a cartoon durability. In Opposite Day, his house gets demolished and he walks away with minor injuries. In Band Geeks, he gets trampled on by his own marching band and still conducts the halftime show. But Squidward has zero offensive capabilities. In Pressure, he loses every physical challenge to Sandy, Spongebob, and even Patrick. If you wanted to beat Squidward, just insult his art, or force him to work overtime. He'll emotionally collapse before any punches are thrown. Right next to Squidward is Mrs. Puff, Spongebob's eternally stressed teacher.
SpongeBob, I am not going with you!
Mrs. Puff spends most of her time inflating into a giant balloon whenever panic strikes, which sounds useful until you realize it helps nobody. In Doing Time, she gets into the prison and her inflation does nothing except make her a bigger target. The inflation gag is funny, but as a defense mechanism, it's useless. Counters are simple. Just scare her, make a loud noise, or mention SpongeBob's name. She'll inflate, float away, and remove herself from the fight. She's slightly above Squidward because her inflation can accidentally knock things over, but that's about it. Now we're getting to someone with actual muscle. Larry is the strongest normal character in Bikini Bottom. He lifts anchors, flips boats, and flexes hard enough to make other fish faint. At Goo Lagoon, he's the lifeguard everyone respects, and in pure strength contests, he dominates. But Larry is pure muscle with zero versatility. He can't fight ghosts, counter magic, or adapt when cartoon physics get involved. If you wanted to beat Larry, you wouldn't wrestle him. Ghosts can phase through his punches, gadgets zap him from a distance, and bubbles float through his grip. Make the floor slippery and he's done. Larry is impressive for a regular citizen, but the moment supernatural elements enter the fight, he's just a buff background character. Moving to 10% power, we have the money-obsessed crab and his whale daughter. Mr. Krabs can be deceptively strong when money is involved. In Clams, he fights a giant clam with his bare claws. In Born Again Crabs, he deadlifts his own safe like it's a briefcase. Pearl, on the other hand, brings whale-scale power. When she cries, entire buildings flood. When she cheers, windows shatter. Together, they're a powerhouse duo at street level, but they both have glaring weaknesses. Mr. Krabs can be baited with fake money or a decoy vault. Pearl's weakness is momentum. She's big and powerful, but can't turn quickly. Use ramps and redirect her with ropes. They're both tough, but they fold the moment god-tier characters show up. They dominate normal citizens, but magic ignores Mr. Krabs' claws, and ghosts don't care about Pearl's size. Bubble Buddy is one of the most underrated threats in Bikini Bottom. He's intangible, which means physical attacks pass straight through him. He floats, squeezes through cracks, and reforms with just soap and water. In his debut episode, he causes chaos just by existing, making reservations and blocking lines. When Shiny joins in later, the problem doubles. But here's the catch, they're still bubbles. One sharp object, a pin, a cactus spine, a piece of coral, and it's over. You can also trap them in jars or bottles. The counters are so simple that it keeps them out of the higher tiers. Keep a sewing kit nearby, and if Bubble Buddy starts causing problems, trap him and cap him. Karen is the brain behind Plankton's schemes, and she's way more dangerous than he is. She runs the Chum Bucket's entire operation, hacks security systems, and calculates plans that actually work.
Oh, hot dog! Let's go dancing!
She's got robot arms, laser grids, and control over any system she can access. In Karen 2.0, she's capable of upgrading herself and adapting to threats, but she has one critical weakness. She's still a machine. Pull the plug and she shuts down. Toss a magnet near her circuits and she glitches. Smart counters are half prank, half IT work. Kill the power at the breaker, introduce a virus, or spoof her network, and the lights go out. Here's where things get wild. Spongebob in his base form isn't a fighter, but he has absurd durability. In The Bully, Flats punches him for an entire episode straight, and Spongebob doesn't even notice. His body absorbs impacts like memory foam. He's been crushed, stretched, chopped, and exploded, and he always pops back up. In I Had an Accident, he survives a brutal sandboarding accident and just gets up. But Spongebob has weaknesses more terrifying than any villain. Dryness is his kryptonite. In Tea at the Tree Dome, he nearly dies from dehydration in minutes. Under a heat lamp, he cracks and shrivels. Sharp objects also work. Knives and hooks bypass his durability. Counters are simple but brutal. Keep him away from water, use blades instead of fists, and sprinkle salt on him. Luckily for the sponge, he sits at 25% power because of his durability, which puts him above most citizens. Flats couldn't hurt him, which is insane, but introduce heat or sharp edges and his advantage disappears. Now we're entering villain territory. Man Ray has a freeze ray, laser glove, and enough tech to threaten Mermaid Man. He's strong and aggressive, but Man Ray has one glaring weakness. He is an idiot.
We've got quite an impressive rogues gallery up there, eh?
In Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 3, SpongeBob and Patrick teach him to be good with basic manners. A simple label swap makes his ray backfire. The Dirty Bubble is a giant floating bubble that traps people inside his body. He can grow, split, and swallow entire groups. Until you remember he's a bubble. One sharp object, a thumbtack, or a nail, and he pops instantly. These two both sit here because they're legitimate threats to heroes, but their weaknesses are so exploitable. So exploitable that any prepared opponent can beat them. Reverse the ray settings, carry a pin, and you win. Sandy is a scientist, a martial artist, and one of the smartest characters in Bikini Bottom. On land, she climbs mountains and rides rockets. Underwater, her suit makes her a one-woman arsenal with karate chops that leave dents in metal. In Sandy, SpongeBob and the Worm, she fights the Alaskan bullworm head-on and survives. In Karate Land, she beats an entire dojo without breaking a sweat. She's strong, fast, and smart enough to turn junk into weapons. But her suit is her weakness. No air means no Sandy. Crack the dome, drain the tank, or stall until her oxygen hits red, and she's done. Counters are mechanical and precise. Aim for the seals, the hinge pins, the air hoses. Oil the floor and make her slip. She adapts quickly, so you have to stack the problems. Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy in their prime with the utility belt are serious threats. The belt can shrink villains, trap enemies, and turn opponents into harmless toys with a button press. In Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 4, Spongebob accidentally shrinks all of Bikini Bottom, proving how powerful it is.
Hello, Spongebob.
Sponge dude!
Barnacle Boy shows real combat skill and heat vision that can damage opponents, but they're old, slow, and easily confused. The belt misfires constantly and labels get mixed up.
You got it set to M for mini, when it should be set to W for Wumbo.
The classic joke is someone turning M to Wumbo, and the whole plan falls apart. The counters write themselves. Their belts are genuinely broken when used correctly, but disarm them or bait the wrong switch, and the gadget advantage disappears. The Alaskan bullworm is pure destruction on a city scale. It's massive, hungry, and fast enough to bulldoze entire streets in one pass. When Sandy and SpongeBob discover that the cave they're exploring is actually the worm's mouth,
Run for your life!
the horror is real. It drags buildings, eats roads, and treats Bikini Bottom like a buffet. Most characters can't even scratch it, but it's also incredibly simple. It wants food and follows movement. Decoys work, loud noises work. Lead it to a cliff, and let gravity do the job. In the episode, the worm falls into a canyon and the fight ends. Counters are all about misdirection. Bait it with vehicles and flashing lights, then pull a hard turn at the edge. It's a legitimate city-level threat, but it's beatable with a map and a basic strategy. At the end of the day, the creature is big, dumb, and dangerous, but not unstoppable. Patrick is the ultimate wild card. Some days, he lifts his house like it's air and drops a one-line plan that somehow works. Most days, he can't open a jar and asks what a jar is while holding it.
What kind of place is this?
In Big Pink Loser, he fails basic tasks and still loses his name tag. The swing is the point. His IQ rises for one gag punch, then falls through the floor the next shot. Villains beat him by talking. Ask a question, offer a rock, and he'll follow the rock. Counters are simple. Outsmart him, confuse him, and give him jar chores. But when Patrick's brain randomly turns on, he's pulled off legitimately impressive feats. His power scaling is genuinely high, but his floor is underground. Peak to punchline, then back to jar level. DoodleBob is a sketch that learned to fight back, and he's one of the most dangerous entities in SpongeBob. The magic pencil doesn't just draw, it creates matter. DoodleBob draws a boulder and it drops. He erases SpongeBob's arm and it vanishes completely. He can create weapons, traps, and objects instantly. The more he draws, the more reality breaks. SpongeBob tries to fight back by drawing fixes, but every attempt backfires. DoodleBob has the tempo, but the pencil is the battery. Take it away and the chaos stops. Paper is the prison. Push DoodleBob into a sketchbook and you can close the door on him. Counters are simple. Grab the pencil, wear gloves so he can't erase you, and then close the book. But we must admit, a magical pencil that can redraw the Bikini Bottom entirely is pretty lethal. The Flying Dutchman is a ghost with genuine supernatural powers. He floats through walls, teleports across Bikini Bottom, and yanks souls with his hook.
Pink one's working the navigation. It's up to you to find our first victim.
In Shanghai, he grants wishes that backfire, turns the crew into fruit, and warps reality for fun. Fear is his fuel. When he decides to scare, buildings shake and brave fish fold. But he's bound by deals and contracts. Make him sign a wish agreement, and the legal fine print ties his hands. In Ghost Host, his power dips when his ship is damaged. Stranded, he's still scary but not a storm anymore. Counters are legal and strategic. Lock him into a contract with loopholes, or strand his ship. And last but definitely not least, King Neptune. In the 2004 movie, Neptune freezes Mr. Krabs solid in an instant, then teleports across the room like space is optional. In the show, his trident strikes silence entire rooms and guards bow without question.
Now there.
No, wait, I'm begging you!
He commands raw elemental power, lightning, ice, and energy blasts that end fights before they even start. He's royalty, divinity, and overwhelming force all in one. But the crown comes with rules, and that's the Kraken's armor. Neptune's pride makes him easy to bait, and his temper makes him sloppy. He respects protocol, which means you can stall him with paperwork, appeals, and formal witnesses. In the movie, SpongeBob and Patrick don't beat him with strength. They beat him with cleverness and legal loopholes. The best counter is simple: separate the king from the trident or drown him in bureaucracy until help arrives. He's at 100% power and the strongest character in SpongeBob because he can end any fight with one blast. But a pen and a contract can stop an execution. And there you have it, every major SpongeBob character ranked by actual power, from Fred's fragile leg at 1% all the way up to King Neptune's god tier trident at 100%. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Bikini Bottom's power scale, smash that like button and subscribe for more breakdowns.